Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Prathamesh. Without wasting our time, let's begin. And if you please like, share and subscribe.
On May 11, 2026, Google Threat Intelligence intercepted a cyber attack that marked a significant transition in how digital weapons are deployed. A criminal group successfully used an artificial intelligence agent to identify and exploit a zero-day vulnerability within a target company's digital defenses. A zero-day is a structural software bug completely unknown to the original creators of the software, meaning 0 days have passed since its discovery to create a patch. Security researchers verified this intrusion as one of the first confirmed instances of malicious actors operationalizing AI to execute a complex network attack. This event proves that artificial intelligence is no longer just a research tool, but an active operational weapon. Historically, malicious actors utilized artificial intelligence for static, passive tasks. These legacy operations primarily involved generating convincing phishing email templates or conducting basic, non-intrusive security research across open web ports. The May 11th attackers utilized AI as an active component, programming the agent to autonomously hunt through a live network for exploitable flaws. Traditional defensive perimeters rely on human reaction times. They struggle to contain offensive logic executing at machine speed. To build networks capable of surviving these incursions, we must reverse engineer the exact mechanics of the May 11th attack. Understanding how autonomous AI breaks systems dictates exactly how we must architect defensive AI to protect them. A standard enterprise network topology relies on a series of perimeter walls, active internal checkpoints, and segmented data silos. In a traditional cyber kill chain, the reconnaissance phase requires human hackers to spend weeks manually mapping this architecture to find active ports and vulnerable entryways. The May 11 attackers programmed their AI to fully automate this reconnaissance phase, mapping the network and identifying high-value targets in mere seconds. Protecting these high-value data silos is two-factor authentication, or 2FA, the modern gatekeeper designed to block unauthorized access even if passwords are stolen. The threat report revealed a critical failure point. While standard logins are blocked, the AI agent actively navigated around the 2FA challenges. This pushes offensive AI into dynamic problem-solving. Past the gatekeeper, it autonomously extracts targeted data directly back to the attacker. By fully automating reconnaissance and successfully bypassing two-factor authentication, the offensive AI collapsed a process that normally takes weeks of manual labor down to instantaneous machine-speed execution. This specific attack is an indicator of an escalating competition within the global security industry. The Google Cloud Cybersecurity Forecast 2026 issued a precise warning regarding the evolution of these tools. The report predicted that artificial intelligence would transition from an experimental concept into a standard operational tool for cybercriminals within the current calendar year. A primary catalyst for this shift arrived in April 2026 with Anthropic's Mythos model. Highly capable, publicly available models like Mythos drastically lower the technical barrier to entry for malicious actors. They grant average criminals the ability to analyze massive codebases and discover zero-day software vulnerabilities at an industrial scale. With the democratization of zero-day discovery, cyber attacks are no longer constrained by human skill or time. This structural reality necessitates a fully automated defensive response. The defensive premise for the modern web is now strictly symmetrical. Machine speed attacks can only be countered by machine speed defenses. This requires the deployment of defensive AI agents, continuous, autonomous guardians embedded directly into a network's foundational architecture. Security protocols must shift from reactive patching, fixing a breach after the data is extracted, to proactive, continuous vulnerability hunting. Google's Big Sleep agent serves as the primary architectural example of this proactive defensive protocol. The architecture constantly ingests raw software code, spawning multiple parallel simulated attack vectors inside secure sandboxes. When a simulation breaks a block, it triggers a vulnerability alert. The defensive agent then autonomously compiles a patch, seamlessly replacing the vulnerable block before deployment. Defensive AI transforms a network from a static, breakable fortress into a dynamic, self-healing organism. This theoretical architecture possesses a proven real-world track record, notably with the mitigation of CVE 2025-6965. The Big Sleep agent autonomously analyzed software in the wild and discovered this deeply buried structural vulnerability. It identified and neutralized the flaw well before any malicious actor knew it existed to weaponize it. Compare this internal defensive success directly to the external failure of the targeted company during the May 11th attack. If the targeted victim had been running a continuous defensive agent, the zero-day flaw used by hackers would likely have been caught and patched internally. The preemptive discovery of CVEs provides strong evidence that autonomous defense is the only viable countermeasure to autonomous offense. Digital security has entered a state of continuous, invisible war between competing AI algorithms operating in the background of the internet. Static walls and standard checkpoints, while still foundational, are no longer sufficient to stop an attacker moving at machine speed. Protecting high-value networks now requires layering these traditional defenses with AI agents that autonomously mirror and anticipate attacker techniques. A severe capability gap is rapidly widening between organizations utilizing modern defensive AI and those relying solely on manual security measures. This escalation has prompted urgent industry calls for tighter government oversight regarding the public release of these advanced technologies. This oversight is a critical consideration given the industrial-scale power of models like Mythos to unearth zero-day vulnerabilities across the globe. In an environment of AI-driven cyber warfare, the ultimate network defense is a machine that learns to relentlessly hack itself. On May 11, 2026, Google disrupted a targeted cyber attack attempting to shut down enterprise server clusters. This event provided the first confirmed evidence of a change in how software flaws are discovered and used. The attackers targeted a zero-day bug, a vulnerability in the code that the software's own creators were not yet aware of. While 0 days are usually the result of months of manual research, the hackers in this case did not find the flaw themselves. They deployed an autonomous AI to locate it. Before 2026, criminal groups largely used AI as a supporting tool, using it to refine phishing templates or generate segments of malware code for a human to deploy. The May 11 incident confirms that AI has transitioned into an active, operational component of a breach, capable of hunting for and executing exploits on its own. Most corporate networks are protected by a series of static checkpoints, primarily relying on perimeter firewalls and two-factor authentication to verify users. These checkpoints are designed to stop human adversaries who probe a network one entry point at a time. This defensive model relies on mean time to patch, the window of time where IT teams manually review a discovery and push a fix to the network. The May 11 attack demonstrated that these response cycles are too slow to counter an automated threat. When an exploit is launched at algorithmic speed, the human response time becomes the primary vulnerability. Because standard checkpoints move at human speed, they create a predictable window of exposure that automated tools can now systematically exploit. To understand this, look at the cyber kill chain, the framework from initial research to final exploit. Reconnaissance is traditionally labor-intensive, taking weeks, but in the May 11 attack, hackers used an AI agent. By automating the parsing of the network, the AI identified high-value targets in real time. This speed removes the early warning buffer that defenders previously used to detect and block attackers while they were still in the probing phase. Once the targets were identified, the AI moved to the exploitation phase. Because the AI was hunting for unknown zero-day flaws, it bypassed signature-based detection, which only alerts security teams to code patterns that have been seen before. Next, bypassing two-factor authentication. Standard 2FA logic acts as a rigid gate, blocking a single, static data stream. But an AI agent tests multiple fluid pathways at once, generating new bypass strategies in seconds until it routes around the static boundary. Reactive checkpoints are ineffective against an adversary that can procedurally adapt its entry strategy the moment it encounters a block. The May 11th event is a symptom of a wider change in the availability of advanced offensive tools. In April 2026, the release of Anthropic's Mythos model provided a significant jump in public capabilities. This graph tracks the technical skill required to find a zero-day flaw. Following April 2026, that barrier dropped sharply. Complex vulnerability research is no longer restricted to a small number of specialists. This means corporations are no longer just defending against state-sponsored actors with massive budgets. Google Cloud's Cybersecurity Forecast 2026 had predicted this, noting that AI would become a standard tool for criminal groups of all sizes within the year. Enterprise defenses built for average threats are now facing high-level automated hunting techniques that were once the exclusive domain of elite hackers. To counter these automated threats, defensive strategies are moving away from manual compliance. Google's Big Sleep agent provides a model for how networks can defend themselves using autonomous architecture. Occasional human testing is replaced by a dual-system architecture. The internal defensive AI constantly scans for flaws, matching the speed of external offensive AI probes. For example, the Big Sleep agent identified vulnerability CVE 2025-6965, generating a protective barrier milliseconds before an external attack made contact. Protecting a network now requires deploying autonomous agents that can hunt for internal flaws faster than an external attacker can find them. The interaction between offensive models like Mythos and defensive agents like Big Sleep has created a new metric for network security. This is the patch gap, the time between a flaw's discovery and its fix. Traditionally, this lasted weeks, giving IT teams time to work. But when both sides use autonomous AI, that timeline disappears. Discovery and patch deployment happen at the exact same moment. This means the time historically allotted for human review and manual deployment has been eliminated. A 0-minute patch gap requires automated defensive architecture because human speed response models can no longer close the window of exposure in time. This shift has changed the nature of global network security. The network perimeter is no longer a wall that is occasionally inspected. It is a continuous, high-speed interaction between competing algorithms. For those managing enterprise security, relying on standard 2FA and manual patching cycles now creates a predictable path for a breach. Maintaining network integrity post-2026 requires moving away from reactive human intervention toward active, autonomous defensive components. The competition between automated discovery and automated defense is no longer a theoretical prediction. It is the